Today is Monday, October 29th. It is Monday, which I just said. It's been kind of a Monday this morning. My name is Kelly. Welcome to my channel. I teach second grade in California. And, it's lunchtime right now. Today's been going pretty well. It's been real smooth. I came in, my room was not destroyed over the weekend, which I was kind of afraid. For those of you who are new, last week, the district decided to go ahead and install this TV in my room, which involved a lot of tearing things apart, including the ceiling, throwing things and moving things around, including my bulletin boards, which are back there. This file cabinet had to be moved to make room for this. I guess what this is let me get this, is the controls for the TV. I've got a power button, source, so that's where I guess I choose. I'm sorry, this isn't focusing. Probably because of the lights. And then volume, and then I've got some USB ports right here. I'm not sure what those are for. I did get a remote for the TV. I do not have any instructions on how to use the TV, if I'm supposed to use the TV, if they're done hooking it up. I've got so I'm not going to try until I get the go-ahead. So, but everything was in its place this morning when I walked in, which was important to me because I was afraid that something else was going to have moved. So far this morning we've done ELA, so we did phonics, which I tried to be more systematic and more thorough while I did, because I did read an article over the weekend talking about how important phonics is in teaching students how to read. And I never, when I was in college, which was forever ago now, and since then I haven't really gotten really good, this is how you teach phonics in the classroom, and this is what you should do first, and this is what you should do second. So I'm just kind of winging it and going what the book says. Tomorrow we're doing inflected endings, ed and ing, on base words. So tomorrow what I'm going to do is have them do a word hunt in the story that we're reading, where I give them a piece of paper and they're going to go through the story and find words that have those inflected endings, and then they need to write the base word. And I think most of the kids are going to be able to do it independently. I have a small group that I'm going to pull, and we're going to find the words together and discuss what the base words are, because the goal of this lesson is to get them to understand when a word has an E at the end of it, they have to drop the E and then either add ed or add ing. So my lower kiddos aren't going to be able to do that on their own, so we're going to work on that together. So that's the plan for tomorrow. I did have a small hiccup. I was talking last week how I'm going to do my pre-test today for math, and tomorrow we're going to do the actual test, and I was all set to do it. And the kids come in from ELD and we do our math fluency tests, and then I had enough time. Oh, no, I didn't. And excuse me. Let me get a drink. I have something in my throat. So we had enough, we did the fluency test. We're getting all these done, and I go to my bins where I store all my papers, and I look, and the pre-test isn't there, and I look in tomorrow, and the test isn't there, and I look in last week's bins where it should have been on Thursday and Friday, and they weren't there, and I realized that I never copied them. So I don't know what happened. I'm usually really good at laying out my copies for the week, and for math I just completely forgot. So luckily this test is on my computer because we wrote it, so I was able to print copies really quickly while I did a number talk. And then when they were done printing, I was like, okay, I want to make sure we have enough time to do the pre-test, which we did. Most of the kids got it. I showed my stragglers, the ones who still are struggling, I showed them how to skip count on the hundreds chart, and that really helped them. One of the questions we had to go over together, because we had done one question like it, but it was really hard, and it was, the so-and-so skip counts from 200 to 310. What are the last 8 numbers, he said. And they all wanted to start counting at 200, 210, or he skip counted by 5s, 205, 210, 200. I was like, no, that's not what he did. This is how we have to solve this problem. And then I showed them how we have to skip count backwards, which there is another way. We could have just skip counted and then, the last 6 numbers written down, but that's really hard. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't even know if that's our standard. It is a question we got from the book, but I'm less certain that that's our standard, because that really is skip counting backwards, and that's not the standard. The standard is skip counting forwards, as far as I know. So, but now we're going to do grammar. We're learning to add es to verbs that in the present tense, and then we're going to write. We're writing about a time that we did something that makes us proud, which actually goes along really good with what we discussed in ELD. In ELD, we talked about things that you can brag about, and we talked about how bragging isn't always the best thing to do, but we said, but we still want to brag about our accomplishments sometimes. So what are some things that we can brag about? And then we wrote sentences, and we had conversations about based on those sentences. So this is going to sort of dovetail with that. They're going to think of an incident where they did something that they were proud of, and then write the story. And then this is the one that I'm going to take the rough draft of, and I'm going to grade for the report card grade. So because it's just, it takes some of them so long to do. Report cards aren't, I guess we start next week. Maybe we start Friday. I'm not exactly sure. But conferences start on the 9th. But I want to get this done, and some of the kids take so long to write that I just want to get started now. My bell just rang. I'm going to go pick up the kiddos, and I will catch up with you again after school. Hey everyone, it's now the end of the day. It went pretty smoothly. We came in, we actually had to finish up the story because we hadn't finished the story. We were reading How the Chipmunk Got His Stripes this week, and it's a folk tale, and I wanted to be done with the actual story before tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to start looking at how the characters no, not how the characters respond to the events. It's what characters do and say, and what that tells us about them. So their character traits. So I wanted to finish the story at least once before we go back. And we talked a little bit about it today, but then we mostly were focused on asking and answering questions. So we've been focusing on this for quite a few weeks. I started by, at the beginning of this theme, by doing an activity that I had seen online at Reading Rockets, where I gave them Post-its, and I made a chart where we asked questions before, during, and after the story. And what I had them do is, instead of trying to write a question, because this class really struggles with figuring out what's a question and what's a statement, or at least they did at the beginning of the year. They're getting a little better. But I during that particular activity, I just had them say, I wonder. And so I wonder what animal that is. I wonder how the beavers build their homes, those sorts of questions. And they really seem to get it very well. So we've been doing that for 3 stories now. And today I switched up. I didn't give them the Post-its. I just had them ask questions, and then I wrote them on the board. But I did want to go ahead and list the 4 questions, or who, what, when, where, why, and how, up on the board. And I said, okay, we're not going to start with wonder. We're going to start with one of these questions, or one of these words. And it took a little bit. A lot of them were still saying, well, I wonder how. And I'm like, okay, we're not going to say I wonder. We're just going to say how, because the standard is very specific in that they ask and answer questions using the words who, what, when, where, why. So I want to get them used to using those words. So they came up with a lot of good questions. I'm going to go ahead and show you the questions that they came up with. And of course, I've got another chart in front of it. So this is what we did for writing, things that we're proud of. And from there, they did their own list, they chose their own one. So these are some of the questions that they asked. What will the bear say and do? What will the characters do? How did the chipmunk get his stripes? Which is just the title of the story, which was fine. Who is this story about? Why did the author make the story about a chipmunk and a bear? I liked that question. Why is the chipmunk rooting for the sun to rise? Why does bear want to eat squirrel? When did the bear scratch brown squirrel? And why did bear scratch brown squirrel? And then anything that we could answer because we've already read it in the story, or we can make inferences, I just went ahead and turned it back over to them. Oh, that's an interesting question. Why did bear want to eat squirrel? What did it say in the story? And then we went ahead and we talked about that. So we finished the story, we did our verb activity, and then we did writing, where we started with how we started first talking about what it meant to be proud of something, because they're not quite sure. The way I explained it the first time, I think it confused them, because I said proud is when you feel good about something. So they all wanted to say, well, I'm proud of my parents, which you can absolutely be proud of your parents, of course. But in that case, I was thinking that they were thinking that they loved their parents, which is not the same thing. So we talked about how being proud is of themselves was being glad that they did something, being proud that they accomplished something, feeling good about something they accomplished, and from then they're able to come up with things. So really what I wanted to do is I wanted to go through the whole writing process, because this is only, I think, the third or fourth story that we've done, and they're still just not sure. But like I said, I have to get this is the writing prompt that I have to get done to take a grade on for report cards, which are opening at the end of this week. The trimester doesn't technically end until the 6th, but I think it is going, the 6th of November, but I think it's going to take some kids until the 6th to do this. So I really just wanted to jumpstart and get a start on it now. So I told them, do their pre-writing, or do their brainstorming on their bubble map or their thinking map. And then I gave them their brainstorming, their writing plan, graphic organizer, and I said, write it. And then the only thing I'm saying to them is that they come up and there's no topic sentence, I circle that and I say, look, we talked about what topic sentence was, because we really hit topic sentences hard last story, where we went over different types of topic sentences and we generated different kinds, and we talked about what made an interesting topic sentence and what didn't. So I want them to have a topic sentence, because that's one of the things they're graded on. So I actually, I gave them, once they did their plan, I gave them a sheet of paper. I have been using this paper from Homework Without Tears, because I have some students who have just absolutely horrendous writing, and I have some special needs students in my class I got this from the OT specialist. But I'm running out, so the rest of the kids are just going to have to write on white paper, which is fine, because it's just they're still writing messy on that paper, honestly. There needs to be a better handwriting and printing curriculum. We have none. I don't have time. I don't have the paper. I'm out of copy paper for the trimester. I have one ream that a parent gave me. I have 2 reams that I bought, but I'm done, so I don't have time to copy, because I have something I got on Teachers Pay Teachers that was about how to do printing, and I try to do that every year, but every year I run short on paper and I have to stop. So it's frustrating. Then we did our claim evidence reasoning, which it's the first time I did it, and it's the first time I really understood. So what it is last week we looked at a pond habitat and a rainforest habitat. We sorted animals. We looked and saw what animals were in what habitat, and then we discussed how the habitats were the same and different. So what the claim evidence response wanted them to do was come up with a statement about comparing those 2 habitats. So one of the kids immediately shouted out that I had to guide them. They weren't quite doing so. I'm like, okay, are they the same or different? So one kid shouted out, they're different. And I said, okay, then do you guys want this to be our statement that they're different? And one kid's like, well, I think they're the same. I was like, okay, that's interesting. So we need to choose one. So what I did is I pulled a stick and I called on a student. I'm like, what are we going to say? Are they the same or different? So they chose different. And then I said, okay, now we have to go and prove it. How are they different? How is the pond different from the rainforest? And they were actually able to do that. They came up, well, the pond had dragonflies and the rainforest didn't have dragonflies, or the pond had fish and the rainforest didn't have fish, or the rainforest had jaguars. So the rubric for this is at the bottom of the page, which I'm not going to grade it because we did it together, but this is the first one. But I read through the rubric with them. I said, okay, now it says a good one has 2 or more than 2 pieces of evidence. So how many do we have? We have 1. All right, so we need to have another piece of evidence. So we did that together, and then I said, all right, so now let's go back. Somebody said that the habitats were similar. Could we also prove that? So we did it again, only this time verbally, this time saying that it's the same. And I think they really understood that. So I think what I might do next time we have a CER, I might go ahead and we'll do the claim together, but I'll have them do the evidence and reasoning on their own. Or maybe if it's the second time, I'll have them do their evidence and reasoning in partners. And the 2 partners will come up with their evidence for that claim we met, and then gradually release them off that. So that's what we did after that. We did RTI, which was frustrating because I had 2 kids in my group leave, and then I had kids in other groups get called out, and I had to call to track them down, and I couldn't, it was just taking a lot of time. So but we did get through. I do phonics for reading, this program by Anita Archer, which the lessons are about 4 pages long. So so it introduces a sound. So on this one, it's mop. It has them blend words that have the ah sound in them. It gives them a picture, and they have to read the words and circle the ones that go. So we do this page together. We do the next page, which is sight words, challenge words, so words with 2 syllables together. And then what we do for the next part is where they have to read a little story and figure out what picture goes with it. We do the first one together, and then they're able to do the second 2. All but one of the students are able to do the second 2 together. And then we do the spelling page, the spelling part together, which is interesting because I don't have the teacher's edition, so I don't have the spelling words. So I just sort of guess with the spelling words and the dictation sentences. And then that's what we do on day 1. Day 2, we do the practice activities, which are mostly independent. I sometimes have to stop and explain the meaning of words because they have some rather obscure words, like sod is one of the words that keeps popping up, and the kids are like, I don't know what sod is, so they never want to choose it, or they always want to choose it depending on, but it's not right. Pit was there. Just words that they don't know as little kids, and also as second language learners. So I have to stop and go through and explain what the words are. And then they do the last page. It's usually something like this where they have to read the 2 sentences and find the picture. So we do that on day 1 and day 2, and then on the 3rd day I have some phonics games that with CVC words. They're not actually all CVC words, with words that have the sound. So like this week we're learning the sound. So we're playing the game, I think it's called Don't Bug Me, or something like that. And it's just a little card game, and it has words with the sound in it. And then there's like 3 or 4 words that say "don't bug me" on them and have little pictures of bugs. And the kids get to pull the card. They read the card. If they can read the card, then they keep it. If they can't, they put it back. And then if they come across a "don't bug me" card, they have to put all their cards back. And we just keep playing that until the end of the day. And sometimes I switch, like we'll play 15 minutes of one sound and then 15 minutes of the other sound. But I do have one student who can't blend. She can say the sounds, but once she gets the sounds to the end, she can't put them back together. So she'll say like p-ot, ta, or put mud sometimes. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. So the rule for her is that as long as she says the sounds right, she gets to keep the card, because otherwise we'd be there all day and she wouldn't ever get to win. Although there's really no winners. It's supposed to be whoever gets the most cards, but we just kind of don't do that. We just, at the end of the time when the kids start coming back, I'm like, oh, it's time to go. So that's what I've been doing. And then after school, I've just been putting together, I putting stuff in my grade book. I had 2 spelling tests that I needed to stick in my grade book. I've been working on some SSTs for students that I need to get done. SST is student study team, so students who are struggling in an area. We meet together as a grade level and, excuse me, we meet together as a grade level and we come up with strategies and goals and interventions for them, and we meet with the parents as well and we discuss them. So I'm just getting all the paperwork ready. I don't know when we're going to have the meeting. I have a feeling it's going to have to end up being during parent conferences because time is so short now, but I want to get those done. I have ones that are already done from last year that I'm carrying over, and then I'm starting a few new ones. So I've just been going through looking for their weak areas, and then we have this book, this big red book that has interventions for everything. So like I have a student who is not reading independently. She reads, but then when we take AR tests, she's unable to take the AR tests on her own. I have to read the books with her. I have to help her look through the book to find the answers. And then she reads the page that I help her find, and then she does the test. But that's not really reading. So like one of the interventions in the book was have them write down for each book the who, what, when, where, why, and then or also read with a peer who has a higher reading level, a good comprehension. So that's the strategies. I actually chose those for 2 children. So 2 children I'm going to give notebooks to. I'm going to have them, when they read their AR books at home, they are going to write who the story is about, what happened, where they were, when it happened, and why it happened, and then have that list when they come in the next day. I'll have them read with a student with better comprehension and then take their test. So the goal for them is that they will take their tests independently. So I don't think I've explained what AR is. AR is Accelerated Reader. It's a reading program. At the beginning of the year, students take a test on the computer and it levels them according to what reading level they are. So they can be anywhere from kindergarten to, up through high school. And these students happen to be reading at like a kindergarten level. So like it's 0.9 to a 1.0. So that's the last month of kindergarten, first month of first grade. And then when we go to the library, they get books that are their level and read those books and then take tests on them. So once they've taken tests on all their books, they are welcome to use my library and get any book that they want and read for fun. But those are the ones that we do. And the ones that are struggling are actually, they're the ones that seem most motivated right now to take tests because they take their 3 tests a week and they're like, well, I'm done with my book. Well, go to my library, get something to read for fun. So it's not the best program. There are issues. I mean, there are students who literally, instead of reading and understanding what the book is, they're matching words. They look at the book, or they look at the test, they look at the book, they find the word that matches, and they choose that answer. I also, I want kids to be able to read books that they want to read, that interest them. But this is what the district does. It is part of their report card, which it really drives me crazy. Last year, we let them check out a fun book as well, so they would get 4 books a week. They would get 2 fiction books, 1 nonfiction book, and then 1 book to just read for fun. I don't know why we're not doing that this year. I don't know if we're just waiting for everyone to get back into the swing of things and getting used to the library, or maybe the librarian just didn't like that policy last year. I really don't know, but I hope we go back to that soon. I'll have to ask her about it. So that's what I've been doing. It's getting late, and I've got 2 books that I'm really interested in reading, and I want to get home to read those. So once again, I'm not going to worry about those place value spiders. That will have to be tomorrow at some point, or Wednesday. We'll see. But that was my day, and I will catch up with you tomorrow when I vlog. I'll do this as a 2-day vlog. So I will catch up with you tomorrow. Bye. Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, no, not yet, I wish. It's Tuesday, October 30th. It's lunchtime right now. The morning has been going really smoothly. We got a lot done in language arts. We did our activity on the phonics that I was telling you about. Let me just get the name out of the way. So I had them go through our story, find words that had ing or ed at the end of them and tell me what the base word is. And they were able to do this. He forgot this one. They forgot to put the e at the end of pipe because it was piping, or welcome. But overall, they did really, really well. I pulled a group and worked with them. Most of the kids were able to fill out the whole chart. A few of them are slower workers and weren't able to do that. But I figured, as long as they did something, as long as they got, the general idea of the worksheet or the activity, I thought that was fine. So if they didn't fill out the whole thing, that was fine. So we did that. Then we went through the story and we looked at character traits. So for this, I took this from the book. I just made it a little bit more children friendly. We had the character, we had their words, thoughts, and actions, and then we had character traits. And we haven't done much on character traits. We do a lot. We hit it hard at the end of the year when we do our opinion writing, because what we do is we have them write an opinion about different characters from fairy tales based on what they say, do, and their actions. Say, think, and do. And so we talk about what the character traits are. We make an anchor chart, and then they write, Little Red Riding Hood is smart or is disobedient because she goes to do this. She's smart because she does this, she's this, and give examples. So this was a little introduction to that, and it's just so funny what the book expects them to do. So in the book, we're reading How the Chipmunk Got His Stripes, which is a folk tale, and the bear in the book is a very boastful character. He goes around saying he's the biggest, he's the strongest, he's the loudest. And the word that the book was like, so from that they should be able to know he's boastful. I'm like, I don't think these kids know what boastful mean. So we talked about it, and they said that made him a bully, which I agreed with. I was fine. And then we talked about it, and I didn't introduce the vocabulary word boastful. I introduced the word arrogant, just because I thought it might be easier for them to grasp. Although maybe it's just as hard. I really don't know. And then, so we did that, and then we got to the chipmunk who teases the bear. So they were saying he's a bully, he's mean, and then he tricks the bear. So we talked about what that made him. So we did this as a whole class because I just didn't think that they were ready to do it independently. But so we got all that done, and we also did vocabulary. So it was a very productive morning. We did ELD where we did some vocabulary, and then we went to library, which was difficult. I had a lot of students who just couldn't find books that they were interested in today, and then they were very loud because it's the day before Halloween. It's still Red Ribbon Week. Today it's wear bright colors and sunglasses. So I brought my Little Mermaid sunglasses, and I'm just wearing them on top of my head all day. But they're just talk, and yell and shout. And a lot of them chose to go to the bathroom at that time. And then I happened to catch people coming in unsafely. We have ramps in front of our room, and they like to crawl through the railings on the ramp. So it was just a little bit much, but it's, it is what it is. It's the day before did it again. It's the day before Halloween. I desperately want it to be Thanksgiving. I haven't had a day off since the first day of school, except for Labor Day. We started in August, and we go straight through with no break. So I'm ready for Thanksgiving break. We get a whole week. We just have to get through a week of parent conferences. I'm ready for that week. I'm just... so I'm jumping ahead as much as I can. So in the afternoon, we're going to take our math test, and then we're just going to do language arts. We're going to do grammar, learning about, I think today we're putting ES at the end of verbs, and then RTI, and then we'll go home. So I will catch up with you after school. Hey, so I survived to the end of the day. It went really pretty smoothly. What did we do? We did math. We took our math test, which they seem to have, the majority of the kids did pretty well on. I graded them all, but I just know what they got, the rough scores. I haven't gone through and found the percentages yet, which I work better with percentages rather than just knowing what they did. But overall, they seem to really have understood skip counting, which I'm really glad of. So that was done, and then we had time to work on our autumn trees that we started last week, where we are just coloring an autumn tree with the landscape behind it. So we worked on that. Most of the kids seem to be finished. A few of them, hopefully they'll have time to work on it tomorrow. We did grammar, we did RTI, and then we went home. I was able to nab a couple of parents outside and sign them up for parent conferences. So I'm doing parent conferences a little bit different because I was watching over the weekend Maylene over on Mrs. Call's Campers, and she was talking about Sign Up Genius and how easy it is to send emails to parents and have them sign up for their conference time, and then you don't have to send the papers out and get them back and change times and do all that. Well, I only had 10 parents' emails, and most of those were also signed up for Class Dojo, but I have 13 parents on Class Dojo right now. So I also sent out a message through Class Dojo. So I think I got about 7 or 8 parents to sign up through Sign Up. I'm waiting on 2. I sent them the email last night, or 1 this morning, so I'm waiting for them to sign up. But I caught some parents outside, and one parent picked up their kid early, so I sent it up with them and they signed up. And so I'm sending out the rest of the parents, I'm sending out their papers tomorrow if I don't hear from them, and just assigning them slots, and then I'll do the world, shuffle. So the way parent conferences work in my district is we are given a week where the students are released early. They're released at 1 o'clock, and then we have from 1 until our contract time is 3:25, but I usually go until 4 every day, except Tuesday, which is our long night for parents who work, so we're allowed to stay till 7. I try not to stay that late, but I do have some parents who needed later night conferences, and this year I'm just kind of going with the flow and going whatever. I'm not going to make it stressful and try and get them all here early. My main stress is always getting translators in, because the majority of my parents don't speak English. So trying to get the conferences scheduled so I can get translators scheduled to come in and be at those conferences is what stresses me out most about conferences. The actual conferences themselves, once I get into them, are fairly easy. I mostly just go over the report card, talk about their strengths, talk about their weaknesses, although I don't call them weaknesses, areas that they need to work on, and then we ask them if they have any questions, and we discuss what they can do to help at home. So that's usually how I do report cards, or conferences, I mean. So tomorrow is Halloween. I think I'm going to be filming Halloween, but I don't really do anything special. We have the parade in the morning, and that gets the kids all riled up. So we'll come in and we'll do some sort of calming activity, probably either a Halloween word search or a coloring page for them to do to sort of calm down. They're supposed to change out of their Halloween costumes after the parade, but that is kind of a mess because there's one girl's bathroom, one boy's bathroom, and the teachers that do send their kids, there's 14 million kids in the bathroom, so it takes forever. And then I go out to recess, and there's a bunch of kids still wearing their costumes, so I don't know. So I'm gonna have them color, do some sort of calming activity, and then if we have time, we'll do some ELA, where we're gonna be rereading the story, doing close reading, and going back and answering questions. And then at math, first we're going to take a quick pre-assessment for our next standard, and then I found this, I believe it was on Teachers Pays Teachers. It is a bump game where they're adding 3 add-ins and then putting their counters on the game board, and then if let's say 2 players on 17 and another player rolls a 17, they can bump the other player and put their chips on it, unless one player rolls a 17 and they already have 2 chips on them, then they can't be bumped. So it's Halloween themed, so I thought that would be fun. And then we'll do our writing in the afternoon, which it would be a great time to do Halloween writing, but I really want to try and get those assessments done. I feel like a horrible teacher because I don't do anything Halloween themed. I just keep it as a normal day as possible, except in the morning and the end, and then I usually wear a costume. But it is what it is. We've got a lot to do. So that's what we're doing. And then we'll have our party in the afternoon before we go home. So that is my day today. I have nothing really more to report. So I'm going to wrap this vlog up, and then if I do decide to vlog again tomorrow, it'll be a separate vlog. So thank you for tuning in. As always, if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below in the comment section, and have a wonderful day.